I called you yesterday.
Good. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes.
A great host. Show is great. Listen to his show.
Absolutely. 95.5.
One mic.
Hey, Shelley Winter Show, live, local, topical, and relevant. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not want to start with this show, but I have to. I absolutely have to. It's the craziest story ever. But let me set it up for you. Years ago, I had spent, before I got into talk radio and got my big break on talk radio, my career, I've had like two careers. My career was in advertising. I started out out of college at one of the largest global advertising firms in the world, Young and Rubicam. I started out there as a media planner, right? And then I went into sales, went into radio sales. Did that for a number of years, then moved over to I went into magazine sales first, Ebony Magazine and Emerge Magazine, then went to radio. So I sold a little television, and that's what brought me down to Atlanta. Long story short, I had been in media sales. And so when I got down here, I had interviewed and gotten a job at a radio station. I won't say which one. And I started, first day, I interviewed with the owners and everything like that and got the job. So, hey, come in on Monday. First day is on Monday. So I come in on Monday, all suited and booted and ready to get to work, ready to start hitting the streets, ready to start selling, right? And I sat down with the local sales manager, right? And, we're sitting there chopping it up because I was hired by the owners and the bigger people. And so he and I are meeting for the first time, and he's going to be my manager. I report to him every day. And I'll never forget, we're sitting there, and he's saying, so, tell me about your experience and all that. And I run it down. New York City, advertising, studied advertising in school at Syracuse, and worked at an advertising agency in New York, and sold for magazines and sold for radio stations and all the sales experience that I had coming from New York. And this is over years at the time. This is a number of years, maybe 10, 15, almost 20 years of hardcore advertising sales experience. And the other side of it, the planning side of it. So I knew, if you're in the business, Shelley's experience with talking to the agencies, because he worked at one, and talking to, small businesses and big corporations, everything in between. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling him, breaking this down. And then I said, so what about you? What about you? You're the manager here, and it's great stations. Got a lot of business, a lot of numbers, good numbers, and large audience. And what about you? What's your experience? So I'm thinking now in my head that this guy's going to run down, a tremendous amount of experience. Similar to mine, maybe more. But he's a fairly young guy, I can see. And he says, oh, I was the sales director for a gutter company. And I said, in my head at that moment, I said, so wait a minute, Shelley, you just ran down 15, 20 years of sales, how hardcore sales and advertising and everything experience, and you're going to be reporting to a guy who just came from selling gutters door to door? That's what he said. I used to sell gutters. I said, so what did you do before that? Nothing. I've been gutters. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I can't stay here much longer. This is my first day, literally. And that was, I start with that story because that's how I felt, when I saw the news that a guy who's the grandson of the grandfather who started a national residential building company. They build construction, they build homes, they build subdivisions. The grandfather started it, Pulte Group. William Pulte, he's the grandfather. He started it. This father took over, and now this is the grandson. So you can't even say, oh, this guy's built a business. No, Trump built a business. Others have built businesses. This guy didn't even build it. He's a grandson. And I'm reading the news. Trump taps housing regulator as intelligence chief. And I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be a joke. They're playing with me now. This can't be serious. And I read Bill Pulte, director of Federal Housing Finance Agency, speaks to reporters. President Trump tapped Bill Pulte. He went from being the grandson, taking over the company from his dad. Now he came. It's natural to put him as Federal Housing Finance Agency director. I get that over Fannie and Freddie Mac, Freddie Mae, and all that stuff. I get that. You're a builder. You're successful. The family business. You donated a lot. I'm okay with that. I never had a problem with him being in that area. I thought it was a little too close, kind of the situation of the fox guarding the hen house, but I was okay with it. But now you're going to be the interim director of intelligence over the CIA and the NSA, all at the same time that we are at war with Iran, trying to fend off the Chinese, Russia, Hezbollah, ISIS, Nigeria, Islamic radical groups in Africa. And you're going to put this guy as the interim director of intelligence? And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. At what point, Shelley Ward Winter, do you say enough is enough? Like, seriously, at what point do any of us say enough is enough? How can anybody? Tulsi Gabbard I got. Tulsi Gabbard has always been fighting the deep state. You can yell and scream if you want to, but she had some knowledge. She had some knowledge. What? You put this guy in interim, and he keeps his job, so he's doing both now. You mean to tell me that someone somewhere thinks it's a good idea for a guy who's never touched intelligence, nothing? And it's a good idea for him to keep two jobs, one of them being the head, the Office of Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Director of National Intelligence, overseeing 18 different intelligence agencies. That's a good idea to anybody out there? And seriously, at what point do we say something? I've been saying something. I keep getting yelled at when I say something. But at what point I really like to hear your thoughts on this, really. We don't do this a lot, but 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Please call me and let me know, is this a good idea? Because I can't see this being a good idea in this particular time. We've got countries trying to take us down. Well, at least that's what they tell me every day. That's what the neocons say. We need data centers because China's going to beat us. So we put this guy in charge. You cannot tell me in one breath. You can't say we need more data centers to compete with China because they're going to surpass us in the information age. That's what you say. And then you can't tell me at the same time, oh, yeah, Bill Pulte, interim head of DNI, the DNI interim head. Or Department of National Intelligence, he's the interim head for Department of National Intelligence. You can't say both things at the same time and be taken seriously. It can't be done. It cannot be done. At what point do people say something without being called names? Bill Pulte is the interim director of National Intelligence. He's overseeing 18 different intelligence agencies, including the CIA and NSA. That should give all of us pause. I don't care, Democrat, Republican, forget the Democrats for a second. As a Republican voter, that should give all of us pause. And we should all in one voice say, whoa, time out, bro. No, we're not. No. And we should be calling our senators and say, no, man, shout this, change this somehow. Particularly when you tell me he's going to keep one job and he's just going to do two jobs. That's an important position. I don't know, man. I don't know about you, but man, it's increasingly getting frustrating. It really is. And anybody that doesn't see it, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 448-720-750, 1-800-WSB Talk. If you would have told me, I think the election day was November 5th, 2024. If you had told me on November 3rd, hey, by the way, before the midterms, Bill Pulte, the grandson of the founder of Pulte Group, the big national home builders, he's going to be the interim head of DNI. I might have voted differently or not voted at all.